bumpy surface of Atlanta Motor Speedway will play host this week as we get ready to watch round 3 of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joey Tevin, and with me in the booth is Sam Ryman. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We've only got a few more months to enjoy Atlanta in its current state, so while we still can, let's head over to our track guide to learn more about it.
Welcome to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, an iconic staple on the NASCAR Cup schedule since the doors opened back in 1960. Located roughly 20 miles south of downtown in the suburb of Hampton, Atlanta has forged out a spot in history, playing host to some of the most iconic moments in motorsports. Prior to its repave and reconfiguration, Atlanta looked more like modern-day Homestead. In the summer of 1997, Atlanta was reconfigured to that 1.54-mile quad oval it's currently at. After that switch, the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Truck Series also became regular yearly competitors at the track. But it's actually an IndyCar that holds the track record here. The series ran regularly at Atlanta for 4 years. The surface here has certainly worn over time, giving way to its sister track in Texas as the fastest quad oval on the NASCAR schedule. Surface here has not seen any paving since construction finished in 1997. Over the years, the track has become famous for its super close photo finishes, thanks in part to a very wide exit off of turn 4 compared to both Texas and Charlotte. It allows competitors to often exit 2 and even 3 wide with room to spare, and that outside lane can get quite a run to the checkered flag. That's our look at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Enjoy the show.
And that was your GSRC track guide for Atlanta Motor Speedway. Almost makes you want to shed a tear that this version of the track will be going away in the near future, but while we still have it, take a look at our track info here. Sam, talk us through this 1.5-mile track.
Yeah, thank you. Well, as you see there on the graphic, it's a 1.5-mile quad oval, so quite similar to a few other oval tracks in the United States that NASCAR goes to. What has stood out about this one over the last couple of decades is, of course, how bumpy it is. That being said, at the end of the day, every racetrack does need to be repaved, and I think we saw proof in the NASCAR Cup Series today in the real world. That it may definitely be due for repaving, although I think there's a bit of controversy over what they're doing with the banking in the future. Back in the day, this track used to be home to close finishes, so you never know what's going to happen at the end of a 145 laps here today, or 90 minutes. It could end up being a timed race if we get enough cautions, to be honest. We'll find out momentarily.
It will indeed, and the people who will allow us to see a close finish, if we get it today, are our sponsors. Our broadcast today is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
Our broadcast is also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills with modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration. You can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
This broadcast is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Cup Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. And as we watch the dying minutes of practice here, we've got about 4 minutes left. Let's take a look at the championship. We're 2 rounds in to this third season of 2021. And Sam, what does the championship look like right now?
Well, you can see we have a lot of waterback racing drivers towards the top here. As you mentioned, they've had a lot of success in the opening rounds. Now, normally when it comes to driver stand-ins, after 2 rounds, I'm really not paying a whole lot of attention because it's still so early in the season. But the fact is, this is a very short championship. It's only 10 rounds. So you need to bring your A game every single race. These are the drivers that have done that so far, with Bradley Holly and Elliott White on the tie at the top of the standings, 90 points apiece. James O'Brien not too far behind, and Danny Cervantes also just 7 markers back. Elliott White and Matthew Long rounding out our graphic.
And then in the team standings, no surprise, it is Waterback Racing Black at the top. 2 wins out of 2 races. They're followed by James Bird Racing, private label Team Hype, off to a slower start than they would have liked, but they'll be back up on top soon, I'm sure. Followed by Car Ramrod and SGE eSports Slipstream right behind them. But that's enough about the races that we've run before. Let's take a look at the info for the race we're going to run today.
Yeah, here we go. So as I just mentioned, it's round number 3 of a 10-race season, 145 laps. Long race around here, and it will be interesting to see if it goes to the time, the 90 minutes. No spare car, no free repair, so if you break it, you got to fix it the old-fashioned way. Although normally races here at Atlanta can be clean, famous last words right there. Open setup, so we'll wait to see what kind of impact that has. And even though there's no spare car, there is an incident limit. So if you get involved in 6 crashes or so, that's going to be the end of your day. And honestly, I'm kind of impressed if you're involved in 6 crashes around here.
Yeah, at Atlanta, that's definitely difficult, but, you know, it could happen. We're not going to jinx anyone, though. Qualifying will start in about 2 minutes, but as practice dies down, the drivers finish their final runs. We can see the difference in the lines that some of the drivers are running, and at least single car running. I've heard rumors that the bottom line is terrible. It's a no-go zone. If you're on the bottom, you're getting passed. But do you think we might see some other drivers try and make that bottom line work with the difference in setup?
Yeah, well, it will be interesting to see. You know, as you mentioned, it's open setup. But the other thing is that Atlanta is a very abrasive track, especially on this older configuration here, on tyres. And so with the high track temperature we have here today, I think it's about 110, 120 degrees last time I checked. And then we see it's down to 105 right now, actually. That is going to accelerate the tyre wear, and so I wouldn't be surprised if between the start and the end of a run, if we'll see some different lines coming and going. And obviously there's always the fact that tracks do rubber up on iRacing, so it will be interesting to see if that has an impact as well.
We'll have to wait and see as the track develops. And one other storyline I want to talk about before practice ends. Normally, earlier in the week on Wednesday nights, we see a lot of the drivers in this series participate in the PRL's Truck Series, in addition to the PRL Cup Series, and that usually goes to the same tracks that the Cup Series goes to, but this week that was not the case. They went to Knoxville. They were on the dirt, and I don't think you can get any more different from Atlanta, so they won't have that little bit of extra practice, and I think we'll have to see if that impacts some of the less experienced drivers, or maybe it evens the playing field.
Well, one thing it could help them out with is with the high track temp and the older track surface here, it doesn't have a whole lot of grip. So maybe you're going to need those dirt track driving skills to keep all 4 tyres pointing in the right direction or recover some slides. I have seen a couple of impressive saves during this practice session, which is just now having the checkered flag drop on it. So maybe that explains it. Maybe everyone's using the skills they gained at Knoxville earlier this week.
Maybe that is indeed the case. You'll have to forgive me. I don't remember who won the truck race at Knoxville, but whoever that was, I imagine they'll be pretty happy if we do get a little bit of a slip-slidey race today because they've shown their ability. But the green flag has flown for qualifying. The first car out on track looks to be the 64. That is Chad Brown. I'm not entirely sure if we've seen Chad Brown so far this season. Oh, but he loses it on the pit exit. That's going to miss the blue cone. He's going to have to go back to pit lane and try that again.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is you do have 5 minutes to complete 2 laps here in qualifying, and you can get 3 cars, new cars in qualifying. Obviously, it's much better to put the car in the wall on your out lap or after the checkered flag rather than on your time lapse. So who do we have here? The 518 car of João Guerra getting his first lap in and walking it right up to the wall and grazing the wall out of turn 2. Well, that will be a no-go for that lap.
And you got to be careful going up there. You don't want to get that 0x because that will disallow your lap. But as we see João Guerra coming across the line, maybe he got away with it. Maybe he didn't get a 0x. No, I think he did get a 0x because that 30.5 is not showing up on the timetables.
Yeah, and now you see him running. No, I was going to say he was keeping it a bit lower here. I wonder if he had a setup under him where he's kind of depending on this lap 2 to be the faster lap. Well, that's not going to help him. He gets a big sideways there through turns 3 and 4. And so Yao is going to have his work cut out for him in today's race because he's going to be starting at the back. And Scotty Johnson, well, here we go. We're finally getting some lap times clicked off. Scotty Johnson, the fastest so far, but then, nope, he's starting to go back down the order.
Patrick Cowgill takes pole early on in the number 31. He's followed by Octavio Rondoletto and Waldo Bolton make up your top 3 at the moment. Here comes Charles Sumner. He only sticks at P9 in that first lap, but he will have another shot to improve. Sumner, we haven't seen him be that high up in qualifying necessarily, but he always has a good race car, and he always tends to stay out of trouble, honestly. So even if he does qualify a little bit lower than he might want to, he's usually making up for it in the race. But we'll see as he crosses the line here. Can he improve from a 30.8 down in 15th? 30.4. That's quite an improvement, but it'll still only put him 6th and now 7th as James O'Brien jumps him into 4th.
Yeah, so there you go. A lot of these drivers then with setups that improve on the second lap. I have a feeling for Charles Sumner, when you have a car that colour orange, it doesn't matter too much if you qualify at the back. People are still going to be able to see it. Always love orange race cars. Here's a number 184, not an orange race car, but let's see how fast it can go. This is Bradley Holly. So you should imagine this car will end up towards the top of a timing sheet. Probably not on this first lap, though. The engine's still getting up to full son, although he proves me wrong right there with a pretty impressive 30.4 on his first lap. A 30.2 is currently the pole time for the number 48 cars. Holly gets quite close to the wall there on turn 2. The drivers really having to mind their wits about them. They want to use up all the racetrack without using up too much of the racetrack exiting that second corner.
And I can report that Esteban Rodriguez won that Knoxville race, but Bradley Holly finished 2nd, and he comes to the line, just misses pole, but it's just by too much. It's by half a tenth of a second, 0.056. He goes down to 6th and now gets demoted to 7th for the 2nd place finisher in the trucks earlier this week, but he is tied for the championship lead with Elliott White. We know Bradley Holly loves to save those tires, so if this track is like a cheese grater like we know it to be, and we get a couple long runs, we know Bradley Holly will be making his way to the front. But here's Elliott White. He won last week at Pocono. He got a wonderful fuel save strategy, brought him up to the front. He survived a late caution, and he stays on pole, but he doesn't improve on his second lap.
Yeah, so there you go. I think there is a difference in setup. We've seen some drivers be much quick on their second laps. I just assumed they were getting up to speed better on their second laps, and some drivers who were who got it done on their first lap, including our pole sitter, the 27 of Elliott White there, as it looks like qualifying is going to be complete, and we can officially call the number 27 of Elliott White our pole sitter for today's race.
Indeed, he is. We've got a couple drivers who are not allowed to take part in qualifying. We'll get to them at the back of the grid, but as of right now, we've got our top 10. Elliott White will start on pole once again. He's alongside Octavio Rondoletto in the Juncos Racing eSports car. James O'Brien, he loves that second row. He's alongside Joshua Daniels in fourth place. Matthew Long and Robert Besaw Jr. are on row 3, and they're followed by Waldo Bolton, and championship tied for the leader, Bradley Holly. And row 5 is Mark Kalin and Scotty Johnson.
And on page 2 here begins with the number 33 car, dress 4 ahead of Patrick Cowgill. Saw him at the top of the qualifying order midway through the session, but got shuffled all the way back to 12th. Charles Sumner in that bright orange and green Tropicana machine will be starting from the middle of the field in 13th ahead of Pat Harvey. Chad Brown will be starting from 15th place for Brandon Walter to his outside. Michael Witt will be starting 17th ahead of Adam Zenke, and Kelly Kill and Stephen Connor will round out the top 20, all of them within 4/10 of a pole sitter.
And the last couple drivers who set times, David Mayberry, Taylor Stout, 21st and 22nd, and Richard Pearson, Marc-Andre Cossette were your last drivers to set times. Now in 25th, 26th, and 27th, Abner Acosta, Trent Dinkle, and Baron Hilton, they were not allowed to qualify today because they were ruled to have caused cautions at Pocono. So they were barred from qualifying. They've got to start from the back. For Abner Acosta, it's the second week in a row he's been penalized to the back of the grid. And in 28th is Tom Serrato, 29th is Aaron Self, and rounding out the grid, guy who ran into trouble in qualifying, Joao Guerra. We'll have a lot of ground to make up once we go green here.
Yeah, I noticed there were about 5 drivers at the end of a qualifying session who ended up with incident points. Oh, a pole sitter, Elliott White, having connection issues. Now, sometimes just one pace lap here, so hopefully that doesn't get too bad for him. But sometimes you'll see that happen during pace laps when the entire field is bunched together, and once they get the green flag and spread out, and there's less cars within the vicinity of your car for your computer to take, to make a note of. It kind of clears up a little bit, so hopefully that happens to Elliott White. Once we get green, he can open up a bit of a lead and stop blinking as much. It seems to have cleared up a bit already. So yeah, 145 lap race, half a minute a lap. So even if this goes green, it's going to take over an hour to complete, and we have an hour and 30 time limit on this race. So I'm really curious to see if we do get cautions, if it becomes a timed race, and even if we get incidents, will we necessarily get a caution? There's a big apron and a big infield here at Atlanta. We can have incidents without the yellow necessarily flying.
Well, we will have to wait and see what happens. These drivers can be clean when they want to. They can also get into each other a little bit when they want to. Hopefully it is the former, but as we round turn 4, the pace car will pull onto pit lane, and Elliott White will lead the entire field to green. It's an okay start for him, but it's a great start by Rondoletto, who stays alongside Elliott White as we go into turn 1. Will the inside or the outside work out better here on the first lap? It looks like Rondoletto's falling back, and it looks like James O'Brien on the bottom is going to follow Elliott White through up to second.
Yeah, got one car down on the apron there, midfield. Elliott White obviously has the advantage of a shorter way around going through turn 1 at the start there. And they're all flat out, so obviously the shorter way around will prevail. But now they're not going to be flat out as the speeds start to pick up and the tyres start to burn off. And now we have James O'Brien actually controlling the field up front.
But he's going to be looking in his mirrors. He's got Matthew Long right behind him, and if there's one thing Matthew Long likes to do, it is overtake. Whatever he and that James Bird Racing team do on these setups, Matthew Long is able to make passes seemingly for the entire race, and it doesn't do anything to the tires. He's got just as much life in him as anyone else. But at the moment, the field is starting to stratify out one by one a little bit. Matthew Long is definitely going to want to get by James O'Brien here, but he's going to have to, I think, get James O'Brien out of the groove to make this pass early on.
Yeah, so some good battling going on up front in the early stages. So the driver who went to the apron, exiting turn 2 on the opening lap, was Dressford. Started in 11th place, all the way down in 22nd now. So not a great start for the driver for number 33, but still in the race and a long ways to go.
And it was a great start, we must say, for James O'Brien and Matthew Long. Started 3rd and 5th. They've moved up to 1st and 2nd. So that bottom line, following Elliott White through, it really worked, even though Elliott White himself has fallen from 1st to 4th. I think he just got a little bit out of the groove. That's when James O'Brien got by, and that allowed Rondoletto to get by up to 3rd. And right now, he's just at the back of this little train for the lead.
Yeah, so top 4 have kind of broke away there. Maybe you could say the top 6. 7th on back. They need to put a couple good corners together here, or else they may be in danger of losing the lead pack. A driver running at the head of that pack in 7th place is number 3, of Robert Vasseur Jr. But again, we might be seeing a little bit of tyre strategy coming in here. Maybe the drivers back in 7th and 8th or so are conserving their tyres in case we get a long green flag run here.
Indeed, and if we do get a long green flag run, we're expecting pit stops to come around laps 50 and 100, maybe 52, 102, about 1/3 and 2/3 of the way through the race. So that'll be very interesting to see once that comes in. And will everyone do a 3-stop? Will some people, or 2-stop? Will some people do a 3-stop? Will some people figure out how to make a 1-stop? We just don't know yet.
Yeah, well, the field is getting a little bit spread out now, and for the drivers at the tail end of the field, that could be bad news, because even though we're only 5 laps in, we have a few drivers running about 10 seconds back of a race leader, and they could quickly become lap traffic, and lap traffic could play a role in this race. Obviously, we don't have stages or anything like that, so if we do go green for a long time, it could end up looking a bit like a sports car race, where you're racing cars all over the track. They may not necessarily be on the same lap as you.
Cars all over the track on your screen in the fight for 8th and 9th. Mark Kalin, Patrick Cowgill have finally dispatched of Waldo Bolton in the 84. He's able to get back in line, but he's going to try and move his way. Oh, Mark Kalin, that was very high. He got a little bit loose up there. That looked scary.
Yeah, but it may pay off with 7th position here. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that too many times, because I was like you. I thought that he had gotten up into the, into the grey stuff. Well, the whole track's grey, but out where the debris is, where you don't want to be. I thought he was on the booked a one-way ticket to the wall there, but he proved us wrong, and he's been rewarded with 7th position here as they battle for 8th and 9th behind him. So Mark Kalin seems to have really found something up high. We'll see if he can keep doing that, and if the rest of the drivers choose to join him, because there we go. Now behind him, the number 31 of Patrick Cowgill also going up high as they enter turn 3.
Scotty Johnson behind them went a little bit high, lost a position to Pat Harvey. The 07 and the 67 going side by side. Patrick Cowgill is trying to chase down Mark Kalin. Robert Besaw Jr. behind them, Waldo Bolton behind them. And behind them, you see the pretty much only side-by-side battle on the track right now, the 07 and the 67. The bottom line seems to be working better for Pat Harvey, but Scotty Johnson has not gone away yet. And now Harvey gets clear of him.
I think we might be about to see a challenge for the lead. Matthew Long got his nose alongside James O'Brien heading in, and he's gone down low here. So Matthew Long is definitely trying different lines, trying to find a way by that number 9 car. Now, when you have a track that's as bad on tyres as this Atlanta Motor Speedway is, you don't want to spend too much time racing side by side with another car, because that's just going to make a tyre wear even worse. So I wonder if that's why Matthew Long isn't challenging harder than what he is. But we've got the battle for 2nd now. If you're going to make a move, you don't want to be going at it lap after lap. You want to get it done quickly and quite close to the wall there for your 3rd place car, Elliott White, coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, Rondoletto's lost 2 spots. He was up into 3rd, but he's lost the spot to Elliott White and lost 4th place to Bradley Holly. We're hearing that Elliott White was reporting high temps in the first couple laps because of the amount of tape that they put on the car, but it's cooled down about 10 laps into the race, so that might be why his pace has increased a little bit here. But what do you think the high amount of tape might be doing for Elliott White's car in this situation?
Yeah, well, it's certainly not good news. I've noticed we've got some cloud cover over the track now. I wonder if that's bringing the air temperature down a little bit and helping him out. There we go, the air temperature 87 degrees, the track temperature about what it was. But obviously the problem is that tape's not going to go away until he comes into the pits. So if that was a problem on laps 1 and 2, the only thing that's really going to help him out there is clean air. It's not like he can get rid of it. And fortunately for him, we don't have, iRacing hasn't simulated hot dog wrappers yet. That'll be a big problem when that day comes.
I mean, I'm personally looking forward to that. If that means we get to have a snack up in the booth during the race, I'm into that. Right now we're looking at Elliott White, who we're just talking about. He's lurking in the back of Matthew Long, but he just isn't quite able to make the pass. He's faster on the bottom, but he's not fast enough to get alongside and clear him. And then you see on the exit there, Matthew Long just gets the run and stays completely clear.
Yeah, obviously the best way to take care of an engine that's running a little bit hot is to lead. I'm sure James O'Brien isn't having any issues out there right now. Getting very close, entering turn 1 there is Elliott White. They're all running different lines, so I wonder if clean air has something to do with that, trying to look for the clean air. But here we go, Elliott's actually trying to look for second position.
And this is a different position for James O'Brien. He's finished second in the first 2 races this season. He's been running second for basically all of both of those races. But right now he finds himself in the lead. So could this be the race where he finally breaks the streak? He has a pretty solid lead right now. He's got half a tenth over Elliott White. But White did just make the pass on Long for second. And Bradley Holly's going to get by Long on the bottom as well. So James O'Brien up front for the private label team Hype Team. Might be pretty comfortable right now, but Whataback Racing is coming in second and third.
Yeah, so Long might be getting shuffled back a little bit here. By the way, we should keep our eyes on this battle, but I'll let you know, about 10th to 20th place there. A massive pack of cars going through turn 3 and 4 right now. They're all racing each other. Here we go. It's like Noah's Ark. It's like they're just coming to start the race right here.
Yeah, your eyes do not deceive you. This is not a replay of the pace lap. Scotty Johnson and Pat Harvey in the 07 and the 67, and Adam Zemke in the 57. It's all sevenses back here, and everybody's still side by side, trying to make their way up the order. Looks like the bottom is not working for Pat Harvey, as he's going to lose that spot to Adam Zemke. And then the 501 of Trent Dinkle. Remember, he got that penalty. He had to start all the way at the back. He's gone from 26th to 16th already.
Yeah, I'm still liking Charles Sumner here, not just because I love his car color, but the fact he's just kind of hanging out at the back of his pack thinking, all right, you guys run side by side, burn off your tires, I'll get you in the long run here. But it's interesting, regarding the strategy, if this race went green to the end, it would be a 2-stop race. They can go 65 laps on fuel. Here's the problem with doing that. Your pit stops are going to come at lap 65 and lap 130, and then that means at the end of a race you only have a 15-lap run. So if you assume that this race is going to go green to the end and the tyre wear's a big problem, you're going to want to break a race up more evenly, maybe pit once every 50 laps or so. So it will be interesting to see what happens strategy-wise. Another reason, another thing to consider is you want to keep your car clean from the wall. And I was watching the number 48 car, Octavio Rondoletto. I think he might have got a little piece of a wall coming off of turn 2 lap last time around.
Did not catch that, but it's very possible. Octavio using the limits of the track as he tries to get by Bradley Holly. And these two have fallen a full second off the lead, but someone who's making up all the ground. You see that gap on your screen, 0.2 seconds between O'Brien and White. White has absolutely blown that gap to pieces, and he is now attacking Elliott White. These positions were reversed at the end of the Pocono race. James O'Brien might have won that last race if it went green the whole way. It did not. We had that caution after the green-white checker. But right now he's trying to get his revenge, win a race for the first time this season, and Elliott White wants to make it 2 in a row.
The field has gone from 30 cars down to 29 cars. Marc-Andre Cassetto have been running at the back with a nil handling race car. Got a little piece of a wall in turns 3 and 4 a couple laps ago and brought it down onto the apron and called it a day.
Yeah, Cassette was struggling with that car. Unfortunate to see him go this early, but he will be credited with a 30th place finish. Right ahead of him is Tom Serrato in 29th, and these two leaders might be catching Tom before we know it. He's 25 seconds behind him right now, but with a lap that's only 30 seconds long, it's only going to be a couple more laps until these two fighting for the lead run into Tom. And like you mentioned earlier, lap traffic will start to play a role in this battle for the win.
And in theory, any of these drivers could pit now if they really wanted to and make it to the end on one more stop. I'm not sure that's the advised strategy. You would get new tyres. You would be able to pull off an undercut on the cars in front of you, but it's not going to help you in the long run.
And then if a caution comes out, you might end up a lap down early on, and then you're going to be trapped there for the whole race. So it's understandable that we're not seeing any drivers come in just yet, but the believed pit window will be coming in about 20-25 laps. We'll see if any takers come down early. Elliott White has no reason to pit right now. He has clearly got a lot of tire life in that thing. Can't quite clear James O'Brien, but he's been sending it down to the bottom every lap, trying to get alongside, and he just can't make it work yet.
Yeah, definitely starting to see the field break up a bit more into packs as you find out how good your setup is in the long run here. And how well you've been driving it as well. Of course, even a good setup, if you drive it a little bit over the edge, the tyres might not be friendly to you in the long run. The top two definitely breaking away here. And then the top 10 are fairly evenly scattered out, and then we have a massive pack from 10th back to 20th. After 20th place, the field really trails off. 21st gone back are all fighting ill-handling race cars, I should imagine. But still, we have all 29 of our leaders, at least for now, on the lead lap, which is pretty good considering we're about 30 laps into this open setup race.
And if we want to look back to our favorite orange race car, Charles Sumner, he's still making moves. He's just passed Waldo Bolton around the outside. Walden started 7th, and he's down to 18th now, so that car clearly not working out for Walden. And Taylor Stout's back there as well, who just passed Waldo Bolton down in 17th. Taylor Stout was P1 in practice, so whatever was working for that car in practice does not seem to be working for it in qualifying in the race yet. Taylor's up 4 positions from 22nd to 18th, but there is a lot of ground to make up to get to Taylor's teammate, Matthew Long, who's up in 5th.
Yeah, like I say, fastest in practice. I don't know if that's because he got a really good draft or was trying a really trimmed out qualifying setup, but for whatever reason he qualified all the way back in 22nd, which is definitely not the ideal way to get a good finish in this race. The battle for 3rd for 5th is still on. It's not as intense as the one we're watching on screen right now, but Holly, Rondaletto and Mark Lon all still nose to tail as the field reminding their P's and Q's about them as we approach the 30 lap mark. No cautions so far here at Atlanta.
And the leaders dispatched of Tom Serrato, the first lapped car, without trouble. But now Long, Rondaletto, and Holly are going to approach Serrato. We'll see if they deal with him just as easily. They were side by side, Holly and Rondaletto were a couple moments ago. They've stratified back out to go one by one. But look at Matthew Long on the high side. He's got a great run. The 41 of Serrato comes down a little bit, makes Bradley Holly have to slow down just a little bit, and there's Long just getting completely blocked by Serrato on the top. Rondaletto got a better run through the lap traffic, and Long not able to capitalize on that run he had through turns 2 and 3, but he's still all over the back of Rondaletto as we go through turn 1. We'll see if he can replicate what he tried to do last time. Nope, this time he goes to the bottom. instead of the top, but does he have the tires to make the move stick? No. Rondoletto still holds tough around the outside and holds 4th place.
Yeah, Serrato was over the radio trying to tell the drivers behind him what he was going to be doing, but he was kind of just wandering a little bit down the back straight. I think it made it hard for that pack to work out where he was. Our viewers may have noticed there was a bit of a challenge for the lead from Elliott White, but he hasn't been able to do anything. He's still in 2nd place.
And the lap traffic isn't over yet. Joao Guerra, Richard Pierce, those guys are going to be the next ones for these leaders to catch, but they're side by side now, so they might be slowing each other down, and they might not get to catch the lap cars at all if they're going side by side. Elliott White on the bottom, James O'Brien on the top. The bottom is working for Elliott White midway through the corner, but then James O'Brien gets that run on the outside, on the exit, and White just isn't able to clear him yet.
Yeah, and they definitely have 2 different lines going on here. White keeps trying to make a slow line work. He's able to get up alongside him, but obviously doesn't have the momentum going down the back straight. I wanted to keep an eye on what happened when Serrato got lapped by that massive pack of cars from 10th on back. He's gotten out of the way of them much cleaner though, so no drama back there.
And I have to start wondering if Elliott White is just stuck on the bottom and unable to make the pass. Like we said, the bottom might be a no-go zone. How can he make the pass? What can he do? Can he follow James O'Brien to the top? Can he try and squeak around the outside? Or does he just have to keep fighting on the bottom and hope that O'Brien makes a mistake maybe and loses the momentum?
Or does he try something in the pits? Try and do this Formula One style? I think if you're going to break this race up into thirds, you're going to want a pit around lap 50 or so. So maybe he comes in on something like lap 45, just tries to make sure he gets into the pits before the number 9 car does. But the other problem, of course, is it looks like he may actually be able to complete it the hard way. No, not quite yet. The problem is, of course, if you do pit, as you mentioned, and a caution comes out, you risk getting trapped a lap down. And with 30 cars on this track, that's a lot of cars who are going to be going into the pits, going out of the pits. And it is quite easy on any oval, really, oh, there we go. James got bowled by a lap car.
Just got handed that one on a silver platter. O'Brien gets stuck on the outside trying to pass Richard Pierce, and Elliott White just gets to drive right through and steal that position and a couple of car lengths while he's at it. Rondoletto tries to get by him about 4 cars down on the apron as well. A little bit of drama caused by Richard Pierce back there, but everyone has gotten through him cleanly eventually. Robert Besaw Jr. down to the bottom of him. And then we will see that whole pack catch up to Richard Pierce momentarily. But wow, that was... James O'Brien's not going to be happy about that one, I don't think.
No, I think he was going to lose the battle eventually anyway, but yeah, he definitely didn't want to end it that way. I think a problem we're having here is that the lap cars are trying to stay up high to let the leaders go by, but the leaders all want to run high. They'd actually be better off, I think, if the lap cars committing to the low line and letting the leaders go by up high. We have the light blue car there. It looked like it was going in the pits, but no, he was just running down on the apron.
That is Brandon Walter in the 99 for private label Team Hype. This pack of cars, we've been talking about how they've been going side by side for basically this whole race, and it is not over yet. Scotty Johnson gets really loose on exit. Good save from him, though, but he's going to lose a whole gross of positions. The 26 in the Pepsi car is going to go around the outside here. Trent Dinkle got by. Adam Zemke got by. And Pat Harvey's going to come by, too, his teammate. We saw them fighting earlier. The SG eSports cars, they're in different positions now, and I think Pat Harvey might have the advantage on the top.
So all kinds of action going on here. You don't want to be that high. Uh-oh.
That's the 63 of Richard Pierce still, and that was just parked in the middle of the track. I don't know how nobody hit him in that pack, but that was terrifying. And they've gotten rid of him now, but they might have to run into him a little bit later in the race again. And hopefully they're not side by side when that happens.
we've got a change for second place here after losing the lead. James O'Brien has now faded back to third behind Matthew Long. So Matthew Long has been working his way up through the field, starting fifth, is now in second.
You have to wonder if O'Brien is starting to struggle in the dirty air. He's been leading all race. Could he have a car, though, is set up to run up front in the clean air? And now that he's actually behind a couple cars, he might have lost a little bit.
Yeah, well, one nice thing, obviously, about open setup races with pit stops like this is you can come in and make adjustments to your car. If you want to take tape off the grille, put tape on the grille, make a tire pressure adjustment, make a wedge adjustment to loosen the car up or tighten the car up. Those drivers might be able to make something like that happen. And you can see how movers and shakers here at Acosta's really came up through the field.
Yeah, no surprise from Abner Acosta, the Whattaback Racing driver. Raced winner in the PRL Cup Series multiple times, up 16 spots. He wasn't allowed to qualify because he caused a caution at Pocono, but he doesn't care. 25th to 8th. He's making his own race now, and he's hoping he's not going to cause another caution because he's having a great race so far.
Yeah, but one driver who just went the wrong way on the timing scoring there was Waldo Bolton. He got the wall coming off of turn 2, had to go all the way down to the apron on the back straight to save that number 84 car, and that's dropped him all the way back to 20th position.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for Waldo right now, kind of anonymous. It would not be out of the question to ask where's Waldo because he hasn't unfortunately done much so far this race, but he's got a long way to go. There's 100 more laps. We know Waldo has long run pace. He's down in 20th at the moment, but we've got 2 pit stops to go. We might have a couple cautions, and I guarantee you Waldo will be back in this race before the end of it. It's been a little bit of shuffling up in the top 5. Rondeletto got a little bit out of sorts. Bradley Holly tried to get by him, and then in the process of all that, Robert Besaw Jr. has managed to move his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, 4th, 5th and 6th all scrapping for positions here in a little 3-car back, less than 3 seconds back of leaders. So I would say the window is open right around now if one of these drivers really wanted to try and pull off an undercut to come into the pits and take a gamble that we do stay green. And they're only 3 seconds back of leader. I think one of these drivers could pit and potentially lead this race.
We'll have to see what happens. I'm not sure which of these drivers will take the bait and go for it. We know the Whattaback Racing guys, the Strategery team led by Nicholas Hunter, they know what they're doing on strategy, and they probably know the optimal strategy if we go green. Right now, oh, here's our first pitter, Mark Kalin. He's the first one to come in. He's run into a little bit of trouble, a couple scary moments, a couple of mistakes from cars ahead, but he has no damage on that car, I don't think, and he's going to be the first one to come down to pit road.
We've got another car coming in. I think he does have a little bit of damage to the right-hand side. Obviously, one nice thing, if you've rode the car around for a couple of laps and realised, oh, this damage has tightened the car up a bit. Oh, there we go. He might be taking it to the garage.
Kalin has stayed in the pits. He hasn't left the session, but I think he might be getting some damage repaired. He may have gotten into the 84 who got into the wall, or he may just be getting a little bit of damage fixed from one of those sideways moments, but either way, he's going to lose 1, 2, multiple laps at least. That's not going to be great for Mark Kalin's race, but we see a couple drivers coming into the pits there. I don't think any of them came from the lead pack, and whoa, Scotty Johnson again. Everybody's getting loose. Trent Dinkle fishtailing it all the way down the back straight. That was, again, a terrifying moment for this gaggle of cars.
Yeah, so a lot of the drivers coming in, as you mentioned, are coming in from kind of the back half of the lead lap. Trent Dinkle coming in now. Adam Zemke coming in. So all these are drivers who, a couple of the earliest ones that came in, I think, wanted to get repairs. Now we see some drivers wanting to get some track position. And the leaders are going to have to respond within a few laps, or else they're going to find themselves behind these guys. And
Kalin, we're hearing, he might have had a puncture. I don't know what's going on with this car we see on our screen right now. They may be out of fuel. Is that Trent Dinkle? Yes. Oh, Dinkle.
He missed his pit stall, I think.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But as I was saying, Mark Killen, he thinks he might have popped a tire, which would be a very unique situation. But his right rear was at 39% coming into the pits, which is very damaged and not what you would expect from a normal run. So he had to get all that damage fixed. Here comes Dinkle, trying to make the pit stop work again. There he goes, nice and easy. Good for him making it in. We'll see if he can have a pit stop with no troubles. But up front, I've noticed James O'Brien is 5 seconds off the lead, or 4 seconds off the lead now. I don't know what happened to him. He was up in second and third. He might have had a big slide or run into lap traffic, but somehow he's lost a ton of ground. Here's Richard Pierce, multiple laps down, coming into the pits. We'll see if he can make up the 2 laps he's fallen. There's Trent Dinkle leaving the pits now. And the leaders still stay out. The whole top 5, top 6, top 15, I think, haven't stopped yet.
Yes, that's probably why we haven't seen any of leaders come in yet. They've been keeping an eye on the midfield guys and not too concerned about these tail enders who are coming in. But now finally Matthew Long comes in from second position, and Elliott White, I think, is going to have to respond on the very next lap if he wants to keep a lead. Now, Matthew's got to be a little bit careful about that car on his inside. He's cleared him now.
And the 2 what-a-back cars.
There's another car. He's got to slow down for him. That's going to cost him time.
Brandon Walter in that left lane did slow down Matthew Long. He's not going to be happy about that. But Bradley Holly, Robert Besaw Jr., Elliott White, they did stay out. We'll see if they come in immediately on this lap. No, Robert Besaw Jr. stays out, but in comes Elliott White, and there's this teammate right behind Bradley Holly.
Yeah, and White had them locked up entering the pits. There's definitely time to be gained and lost by how well you enter your pit stall. Now, I think collisions on the inside lane there, on the left side line, that you don't necessarily collide with another car in the pits if you cross their path there on iRacing, but I've never really wanted to test that theory.
I tell you what, I think there may be collisions. When you're in the gray part of the pit lane that you see Elliott White in there, you can't collide with cars, but when you're on the black stuff, I think if you cross over a car that's in that other line, you can get spun out, because that has happened to me. It was in an IndyCar race. It wasn't a NASCAR race. It was at Texas, but I think the same thing applies. But luckily, Elliott White didn't have to learn that lesson and didn't run into anybody. Here's Robert Besaw Jr. into the pits. He took the lead after staying out the longest of anybody. He's finally down there to get service. We'll see where he slots back out as the rest of the field has made their pit stops. I don't think anybody else is still out there that hasn't stopped yet. So this will be our actual running order once everything shakes out.
Yeah, and there you go. So Lon has been able to catch White a little bit, and there he sets the fastest lap of a race in pursuit of that number 27 car, but he hasn't been able to pass him. So Elliott White responded quickly enough. He got a beautiful pit entry, had the tyres locked up, but was right on the limit. And honestly, I think you could almost argue that Matthew Long having to slow down for that other car in the pits, that may have cost him his shot at the lead there. But there is still one more round of pit stops to come, probably around lap 100, so we'll wait to see if he can get it done then.
Bad news for the 47 of Baron Hilton. He had an unsafe pit entry, and he got a penalty for that. He will now be 2 laps down. Very unfortunate for Baron Hilton in that zombie Skittles looking car. Started 27th. He's up 1 position in 26th, but I don't think that's quite the gains he was looking for in this race.
The saddest thing about this round of stops is it's broken up that great scrap we had going on for 10th place, but I'm sure we'll still get some good battles out there, but that was definitely something unique to this race, watching those guys all over each other for the midfield for the first 50 laps.
Here's Elliott White trying to get by Baron Hilton. Matthew Long a little bit under 0.4 of a second behind. He's hoping that Baron causes a little bit of trouble for Elliott White, slows him down. Remember, Elliott White got the lead when the lap car slowed James O'Brien down. Matthew Long's hoping the glove will be on the other hand, and it'll be on his hand and he'll be able to slip by, but unfortunately that will not be the case right now. Elliott White gets by, loses a couple tenths, but he's still got a comfortable lead over Matthew Long at the moment.
Yeah, I think now you've got to be a little bit careful about how much you're how fast you're driving, how much wear you're putting on your tires, because everyone feels like Superman right now. They've all been out there on older tires, now they've got a brand new set, but you don't want to go out there and burn them off straight away. These tires, you want to make them last another 40-50 laps or so, so we'll wait to see who plays a long game this time around, now that things are a little bit more spread out.
Trying to see where the closest other battle on the track is, but I don't think we really have that many. This battle for the lead is really heating up now as there's another lapped car ahead of Elliott White. That is Chad Brown, who is the last car on the lead lap in P18. Elliott White goes down to the bottom. Is he going to be able to clear him through the corner? Not yet. There he goes. He's almost on the apron, but he easily gets by Chad Brown in the 64. And, of course, Matthew Long runs into him on the exit. He's going to be unhappy about that. He lost more time than Long did, but I tell you what, he still had a great run, even having to check up a little bit. He made up like 3 tenths in that one corner.
Joshua Daniels is one driver to keep an eye on right now. I don't know if he pitted late during his during the pit cycle, but he's charging his way through this little pack of cars we have coming out of turn 2 right now. Just blew by Adam Zemke up into ninth position. So let's see what this number 77 can do.
Yeah, Joshua Daniels, always a steady driver. He always gets the job done. So he's trying to go around the outside of Pat Harvey here. I think that's Tom Serrato, who we're seeing once more. He's going to take the top and try and stay out of the way. Joshua Daniels going to try and make the move through the middle. It's going to tighten on the exit, but Serrato gets out of the way, and Joshua Daniels with the run on the high side, he's up 8th.
Yeah, Tom kind of stuck up high there as a lapped car again. Again, I think a low line is a safe way to be for the lap traffic. Fortunately, these drivers seem to have figured that most of it out. I mean, we're about 60 laps into this race, over 60 laps into this race, without a caution yet. So they're all navigating their way through the traffic. Okay, so far we have 17 cars left on the lead lap as we're approaching the halfway point.
Next car to go a lap down will be Scotty Johnson in the 07 when he is caught. He must have lost quite a few positions on pit road because I thought he was a little bit further up. But it seems like he and Pat Harvey traded spots because Pat Harvey in the 67, who you're seeing on your screen right now, is up to 9th, trying to get by Abner Acosta, who's moved up from 25th up into the top 10.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a little bit of damage on the number 7 of Scotty Johnson, so I don't know if that's kind of hindering his progress here a little bit. That's obviously one of the big disadvantages to not having a caution so far, is any of these drivers who have picked up a scrape or a bent fender on their right-hand side from the wall, because we've seen a few drivers brush it today, they haven't really had a decent amount of time to come in and get that fixed.
No, Mark Kalin was the only one who really lost a massive amount trying to get that damage fixed. He lost 3 laps, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. Here's Charles Sumner again. We've been taking a look at him every couple laps. He's in 15th. He's steadily making his way up the field, or down the field a little bit. He started 13th. He's down in 15th. Right now he's fighting with Brandon Walter in the number 99. Walter's had a few scary moments. He was in that little gaggle with that lapped car on the back straight, but no harm, no foul. He's still got a completely clean race car. He gets a big slide on the exit of turn 2 there. Almost jinxed him, but he kept it gathered up.
And another position picked up for Joshua Daniels in the 77. He started 4th. He was 10th when I picked him up a few laps ago, but now he's transferred his way back up into 7th place. And he's got Abner Acosta coming behind him. Abner Acosta, remember, was one of the drivers who started at the back of the field, driving the number 5 car. He started back in 25th, he's up to 9th now, and he's about to take 8th from Patrick Cowgill. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes 7th in the near future from Joshua Daniels.
Yeah, if there's one driver who knows how to save tires, it is Abner Acosta. That is something he does very well, and clearly, even with the sheer amount of overtakes he's had to make to get up to this position, he's still got quite a bit of life left in those tires. As there he is, clear Patrick Cowgill up to 8th place, and now Abner Acosta focuses up front, and he's going to be Abner accosting Joshua Daniels in a few moments.
You know, I know Abner Acosta has got to be one of these drivers who knows how to strategy race, because whenever the other drivers hot punch the words pitting in, like 99% of people do on iRacing, he typed into the chat box. So he must be a Formula One fan to do something like that. He knows how the strategy cards are played.
And interestingly, he posted box with 2 X's, so if that was pre-programmed, he's... Oh, caution! Caution is out on lap number 69. Is that Robert Besaw Jr.? No, that is Michael Witt in the number 26, the Wedgehammer Racing car, sideways across the back straight. See if we can get a replay for you for what happened to Michael Witt. He was having a quiet race. He was in that little gaggle in the Pepsi car, and it looks like he just got loose on exit and he hit Pat Harvey as we go to a replay.
Yeah, we'll get the replay here. Pat Harvey, that's the tail end of it. Pat Harvey does a nice job of holding onto it, makes full use of that apron on down the back straight, but he definitely has damage to the right side of the 67 car. Obviously, things much worse for Witt.
Yeah, unfortunate for Michael Witt. Here's a look at him getting very loose, and Pat Harvey just an innocent bystander there.
That was the blue car you saw behind there, the 57 of Adam Zemke, who did a nice little evasive maneuver to get around all that.
And like you said, lots of asphalt down there in the apron, so it is reasonably easy to avoid a crash if you can spot where the other car is actually going to go. But as we cross the line for lap 70, this is where things are going to get interesting. We know that the limit for fuel was 65 laps. There's 75 laps left. Oh, almost everybody's going to come down here. Do you think they might try and make it to the end with a little bit of fuel save?
Yeah, I think so. They might try, definitely. And the reason I think it could work is because the tires wear so much here. You're going to be lifting in the corners in the long run, so, you know, just lift a little bit earlier, save some fuel.
But every single car in the top 17 made a pit stop there. Shouldn't be too much change. Maybe someone will make up a couple spots with a nice pit stop here, but Elliott White in that number 1 stall easily comes out in first. Matthew Long in second. Ronda Leto will stay third, and basically nothing changed. Nobody made up any spots there, but we will re-rack the entire field. Top 17 on the lead lap. A couple more drivers might get a wave around to join them. But before that happens, we're going to throw to a short break here, and we will be right back from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk at you in a couple minutes. And welcome back to virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, still under caution as we re-rack all of the cars and prepare to go back green after that accident with Michael Witt brought us under the yellow flag. Let's run through the top 10 cars at the moment. In first place, as he's been for the last couple laps, is Elliott White. He hasn't lost anything in this little pit cycle, and he has been easily the fastest driver, I would say, in these first couple laps. Down in second is Matthew Long, who's been accosting Elliott White for these last couple laps. He might hope to have a little bit of short run pace and make that move around the outside, take the lead that he hasn't able to have for the first 70 laps of this race. Then it's Rondeletto, O'Brien, Holly rounding out your top 5, but they're racked up 2 by 2 now, and we'll be going green in just a couple seconds.
Yeah, so all these drivers up front who are really the drivers who are in the game, they're down to their final set of tyres when they come in for the next stop, if they come in for their next stop. Honestly, I think they will. I'm not sure you can save 10 laps of fuel around here, but I've been wrong before. The drivers who just took a wave around, they're going to have an extra set of tyres at the end of the race, but to be honest, a lot of those drivers that took a wave around are multiple laps down and have been carrying a little bit of damage anyway.
But remember last week at Pocono, Elliott White saved a lot of fuel, more fuel than we thought was possible, and he won that race. But as we go green here, 72 laps to go. Great jump by Elliott White over Matthew Long, who's going to immediately try and drop down to the bottom, block off Octavio Rondeletto. James O'Brien stuck on the top now. The bottom is definitely working out for Rondeletto in third as he clears James O'Brien, and Elliott White holds the lead.
Yeah, I don't think Elliott's thinking about fuel saving. He got on the loud pedal very early there, and obviously he's wide open right now, trying to pull away from the rest of the field, but it's not working. Matthew Long is actually going to challenge him to the outside as they come out turn 2. Matthew Long getting very loose, so that's going to cost him a bit of ground.
Yeah, those tires might just be a little bit too cold for him to go full throttle around the outside there. Bit of a loose moment, but he's going to try and dial it back. Don't get in that overheating cycle and try and go for another attack. And I said James O'Brien was clear of Rondeletto, or Rondeletto was clear of O'Brien. He is clear now, but they were side by side for a good 2 laps after that restart.
70 laps left to go as they come across the line with Elliott White leading the field round. Matthew Long in second place. James O'Brien has made his way back up to third. Look at that, fastest lap from Bradley Holly running back there in fifth.
Getting the advantage of a quadruple draft back there in fifth is Bradley Holly. He's going to hope to not be in fifth for too long. But right behind him, Abner Acosta. I said people didn't make up that much ground in the pit cycle. Acosta certainly did. Maybe that early pit stall helped him out. He was up in 8th or 9th, and now he's up to 6th in that 5 car. So the march up the field continues for Abner Acosta, and something tells me it isn't over yet.
Will be interesting to see what he can do as we enter the closing stages of this event. Things starting to get a little bit spread out, a bit of a gap opening up between Acosta there in 6th place and Patrick Calgill back in 7th place. Challenge for second, going into turn number 1. Matthew Long is up high, James O'Brien trying to make his way back up into the silver position.
He had the chance at the bottom, but the top line, once again, dominant for Matthew Long, and now he's got to be careful. Rondeletto's right there, and here comes Bradley Holly to the bottom. Can he make it work against Rondeletto? O'Brien on exit a little bit slow, but Rondeletto, he's just stuck like half a car length behind. He's not able to make that gap close down.
It's already less than 10 laps into the run with everyone having new tyres. They've all had a chance to make some adjustments to their car, but you see lots of different lines being ran. Although granted, a lot of that could just be due to the fact that they're trying to look for clean air, trying to go where the car in front of them isn't. We're getting very close coming out turn 4 here.
Mark Kalin, who is running dead last, unfortunately. In 29th, had a little bit of a moment with the wall. He fishtailed it halfway down the back straight, but he has kept that thing rolling in a straight line. No caution for that. That'll make Elliott White very happy because he seems to be happy with this long run pace in the front. But here comes Bradley Holly in 5th. He's trying to follow James O'Brien up to the lead. Rondoletto stuck on the bottom. Can the red car and the blue car get past the green car on the top? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, he was trying to do more than follow him. I think he was actually trying to give him a bump draft down the back straight there, but he didn't. I don't think I would have ended up as nicely as he would have planned. But now here we go. Bradley Holly says, all right, I've had enough of following you. I just got the fastest lap a couple of laps ago. I want position number 3. The problem is the low line's not the easiest way to get that done. And Bradley's going to lose that 4th place that he just took. And he's going to have to settle into the gap here.
Yeah, all that work, unfortunately, for nothing for Bradley Holly. He's back where he started, and James O'Brien got 2 spots out of it. So he's going to have to reset. The clouds in the background looking very, very dark and gray. No rain in iRacing, but if there was, I would say it's looking like it's going to do that.
Yeah, it's been drizzling a little bit here today. But disregard my accent, I do actually live in Atlanta. But, so here we go, riding on board here, trying to look back, and you can see the different lines. You can see how spread out the top 10 has got right now, as Rondoletto is trying to attempt to different lines in the number 48 car to try and make a move for 3rd place, or at the very least get some clean air into that grill. Don't hear a whole lot of fuel saving going on when we were on those onboards.
No, and I don't really know how you would save fuel when you're in a pack like this without just getting completely freight trained on the top or the bottom, either way. But these drivers probably going to go for one more stop at some point. But the question will be, when will that stop be? If you stopped right now, you would be good on fuel to the end. But do you want to shorten that run, or do you want to shorten this run and lengthen the second run?
Yeah, the other question, I guess a big part of that question is, what kind of tyres do you want on your car? You know, because if you pit with only 10 laps left to go, say, there's not really, do you even bother taking tyres? You know, that's an extra 10 seconds to your pit stop, whereas you can be in and out in a couple of seconds if all you need is a splash of fuel.
It'll be very interesting to see when we get to that. We had a long green flag run to start, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do go green to the end with the whole field stratified like this. See if there's any side-by-side battles throughout the field. Seems like everybody's just taking it easy right now early on. They know there's a lot of race to go, and they know there's a lot of ground to make up. Pat Harvey is going for an attack on Scotty Johnson, it looks like, back in 12th. Them two, they've been stuck side by side for the whole race. Scotty Johnson now working on Brandon Walter. They're side by side through turns 3 and 4. Johnson on the bottom, Walter on the top. I tell you what, Scotty Johnson might just be making the bottom work here as Adam Zemke tries to join the party. Brandon trying to send it around the high side. Definitely has a much better run this time, but he's going to get very close to the wall, but he gets away with it. And he's going to be completely clear of Johnson, and Zemke's going to follow him through.
Yeah, Scotty fading back a little bit here, but the good news for him, I think last time we saw him before the caution came out, he was down in 17th with damage on his car. I'm going to assume he was able to get a bit of that repaired under the caution, and he seems to be running a little bit stronger right now, but I'm not sure this side-by-side racing is going to be helping his cause a whole lot. Anyway, getting a bit of a word down from in the pits, we expect pit stops around about lap 100 or a little after lap 100, somewhere between lap 100 and lap 110, I suppose. And that makes sense, to be honest, because that kind of breaks the second half of a race up into an even split, about 35 laps and then 35 laps. And everyone's going to be forced to do that, I think. As soon as cars come down into the pits, you're kind of going to want to come with them.
Oh, Rondoletto and O'Brien Sorry to interrupt you there, Sam. I thought that was going to be a caution, but Rondoletto got high and almost turned our third place runner, James O'Brien. They got away with it. That was a massive save on the apron. I hope we can see a replay of that because that was almost complete disaster. It is a disaster, but it was almost even more of a disaster.
Yeah, because they just lost 2 positions to Bradley Holly and Abner Acosta. So, yeah, they definitely don't want to be behind them here. Here's the moment that you mentioned coming out of turn 2.
Just a little bit of a tap. I wonder if he thought he was going to be clear to be behind O'Brien, but he wasn't, and they did not get away with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you want to do intentionally. I think it was just a misjudgment there. So there you see, that's 3rd through 6th on screen right there. All running different Teletubbies colours or Hogwarts house. Pick your favourite, blue, yellow, red or green.
Right now, I might argue that yellow is the favorite. Abner Acosta made up 2 spots because of that incident, but he is up into 4th now, and I think well and truly in the fight for the win. Now, up from 25th, I don't think we can count him out anymore.
Now, yellow was Lala in Teletubbies. Is that Hufflepuff's colour in Harry Potter? Gonna have to look up on that.
I have read probably -5 Harry Potter books. I haven't even touched one or looked at one in about 15 years, so I wouldn't know. But I'm sure someone in the YouTube chat will yell at me and tell me if it's a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor or a Ravendor or whatever.
You're very close.
James O'Brien on the high side trying to spoil the Abner Acosta party, but he isn't able to make it work yet. Remember, these 2 are teammates, the 9 and the 5. The 5 ahead of the 9. James O'Brien could have made it 3 wide there. He had a great run, but he did not think that was a smart thing to do, and I don't blame him. I agree with them. Going 3 wide with 50 to go wouldn't have been the best move, and unfortunately, due to his selfless move, he's going to lose a spot to Octavio Rondoletto.
Yeah, Acosta got very loose coming out there off of turn 4. Holly's really trying to pinch him down to that low line and make him get loose so that he can't complete the pass. And Acosta is kind of drifting it out of the exit of a corner. He's able to save it, but that's going to cost him all of those positions.
Drivers are reporting that the cars are getting looser and looser throughout this run. So the track conditions clearly changing. Maybe a little bit of fatigue setting in. It's been a pretty long time since this race has started, but you see the track temp there. It's dropped almost 10 degrees Fahrenheit since the start.
Yeah, that's probably a good reason to slap on an extra bit of tape when you come in for your final stop.
Abner Acosta on the bottom again, trying to get by his teammate, get back by his teammate rather, but the 9 is staying ahead in 5th. And Rondoletto back up to 4th as well. Abner Acosta made up those 2 spots up to 4th, and he just lost them both back.
Now, we expect pit stops in about 10 to 15 laps. Now, obviously, you could try and short pit now in the next 5 laps or so if you want to gamble on track position. The problem is that if you do pit, we have a lot of cars running 1 lap down. Trent Dinkle is currently the lead of those in 19th place in the number 501 car. If you short pit, you might not necessarily get the lucky dog. You know, if you come out behind Trent Dinkle. Oh, Rondoletto's challenging for 3rd.
Clearly, he hasn't been spooked by that little incident with James O'Brien. He's found something, maybe a little bit of an adjustment in the pit stop has improved that car, but the bottom, not quite. He sticks it in the grass. 2 of those tires, I think, mowed a little bit of that Atlanta grass. That's all getting torn up soon eventually, but Rondoletto helping them out with the job there. He got away with it, but you don't want to get too many wheels down there because that will be a quick trip to Spin Town.
You know, I've seen one race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway while I've lived here, and there was a lot of the infield being torn up, but that's because I was there for the Supercross event. So I wouldn't recommend in these cars. No, I agree with you there. All right, this battle from 3rd to 6th continues to be quite intense. And while these guys have been racing like this, it's actually allowed Robert Vasseur Jr. and Joshua Daniels in 7th and 8th to run them down. They're right on their tail now.
It's going to be a party for 3rd here, but everybody's sliding around, and one mistake from any of these guys is going to mean that they're going to lose 4 or 5 positions immediately, so they got to be careful not to do that. Matthew Long up in 2nd, getting a little bit out of shape on exit. He's lost quite a few tenths, and here's our first pit stop. Is that Joao Guerra in the 519? He is 3 laps down, so he's hoping for a miracle here to get all those laps back. Richard Pierce as well, not having the best day, 4 laps down. Those two have a lot of work to do, but maybe if we get 17 cautions, they'll get all their lucky dogs and get back to the lead lap.
Yeah, I love this camera shot right here that we had down the back straight, because this really shows you what the field is up against right now. You can see back to about 11th position. You can't see 11th here. There you go, now you can. You can see back to 11th position, not too far back of a leader. That's Patrick Calgill, about 5 seconds back of a race leader. So Elliott White and Matthew Long, if a driver as far back as 11th comes in, they're going to have to react to that a little bit. All these drivers about 12th on back, they're far away enough where they don't have to be too concerned about them. But we definitely still have about a dozen cars left in this race for the win at the moment.
And we could see a shock in strategy races. You know, it can always happen. There's always a chance that somebody we weren't even looking at will come out with the win. So if you're someone like Charles Sumner, we haven't seen him much today. Maybe he'll pull something out in the pits, make up those 9 spots, and steal the win from Elliott White, Long, the guys who have been dominant all day.
This is, I was about to say, it's kind of smart driving watching these guys run single file right now. Because as much as I know they all want positions, in a strategy race such as this, a lot of it's about time. You don't want to lose too much time battling each other. And the fact that these guys are only 2.5 seconds back of a race leader, they definitely, they can't afford to get too selfish here. They've got to try and think big picture.
Well, the 2 teammates for private label Team Hype, the 9 and the 5, are certainly not being team players right now. They're trying to make up whatever ground they can. Abner Acosta certainly faster. Robert Bisson Jr. almost gets into him again on the exit of turn 2. We're seeing these drivers get extremely loose, and Bisson Jr. is the next driver to take a little bit of a bite out of the apron. Those tires aren't going to be very happy about that, and I wonder if that'll trigger an early pit stop just to get it out of the way.
Yeah, I definitely think he's been put in prime position to kind of kick that all off now. Now, I can understand why he was racing right on their track, because Joshua Daniels was right on his spoiler. His lap cars we see down on the apron there.
Yeah, that's Mark Kalin. Not the best day for Mark. Down in 26th, 3 laps down. He's just trying to bring it to the finish, trying to save a couple points, but Rondeletto almost gets in the wall. O'Brien has to check up, and now Abner Acosta is going to get the high side here on his teammate. The 9 on the bottom, the 5 on the top, and Octavio Rondeletto kind of blocking the middle. Acosta doesn't quite have the run that time, but O'Brien can't block him off. He is a teammate, so he's trying to be nice. Will the outside work for the number 5 through 3 and 4? Or can O'Brien keep hanging tough on the bottom?
Matthew Long's coming in.
Yeah, Matthew Long's coming in. I was worried for O'Brien. I thought they might catch him before Long got down onto the apron, but luckily they didn't. But Matthew Long, our first taker in the pits. I think this is going to set off a whole cycle here.
Yeah, White is definitely going to be coming in next time around.
And White's going to come in here. You can see him very low down to the apron. Oh, he slides it. Did he get it slowed down in time?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. A massive lockup on those 2 tires, on all 4 tires almost. A huge slide on that transition from the banking to the apron. And I will be very surprised if he managed to get that thing slowed down in time.
Now, can he serve a penalty? On iRacing, I should imagine he'll be able to serve a time penalty here. We'll see when the left side tyres go down. Does he pull out of his box? He's not going to have to wait on fuel. He doesn't have to go a full distance. Is he moving? He is not moving. He's taking that penalty.
Yes, you can serve a penalty for speeding in the pits. So he's going to be parked there for, I think, 30 seconds. So he might lose 2 or 3 laps in total. And that's going to be a disaster for the dominant driver in this race. And someone who's going to be very happy about that situation is James O'Brien, who has been gifted the lead. But here comes everybody else down into the pits. We saw Joshua Daniels. We saw Robert Bissaw Jr. cycling back through. It's all happening now.
Yeah, another driver who's obviously going to be quite happy is Matthew Long. Now, Matthew Long really doesn't want to see a caution right now. He is a lap down, but he is not too far behind James O'Brien. I have a feeling even if O'Brien stays out on track here, actually, that's him you see in the background there. So that's James O'Brien, the white car. You see 2 cars back is Matthew Long. If Matthew's able to get by James O'Brien, which he does right here, he's now back on the lead lap. So the biggest concern for Matthew Long right now, I think, barring anything dramatic, is that since he was one of the first cars in, does that mean he's going to have older tyres at the end of this race? I don't think it's anything to worry too much about, but he's just going to have to mind that he doesn't burn off his tyres too quickly here.
Be very interesting to see. There's only 34 laps left in the race, so everything will converge soon. We're going to try and get a replay here of what happened to Elliott White. This was probably the thing that changed the spectacle of this race. The longtime leader, Elliott White. We're going to see him coming down to pit road. Here's Mark Kalin coming down to pit road. He didn't run into much trouble, but could he see what happened to Elliott White from up ahead? Potentially. We cycle through the grid. Everybody did make their pit stop, so it makes it difficult to track down each individual one. But here's Elliott White. There goes a lapped car getting back by. And you can see on the transition. Yep. I think he just waited a little bit too long to come down.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why he did that. You know, he was trying to make up for the time that he would have been losing by doing that extra lap on all tyres. He did the same thing on his first pit stop. He was very late on the brakes. He took it right to the limit, and he didn't, you know, he was able to keep a lead. I think we saw a lap car in the background there trying to make it to the pits. He didn't make it. That time he just overdid it. But his race isn't over. It's obviously, there's a 63 car, the car I saw going slowly. He's still in the race. He's running, though, far down the order. As a matter of fact, I think he's a lap down. And so, obviously, his chances for winning this race have been greatly diminished.
And someone else who got greatly diminished in the pit cycle, James O'Brien. We thought he was going to be the leader, and he lost 12 seconds to Matthew Long in the whole of this. And he's down in 11th. But he is going to have younger tires than everybody, so we'll see if he can make up ground. Right now, he's trying to get by Charles Sumner, who's having a great race up in the top 10. Made up a couple positions on that pit cycle. But the biggest mover, or the biggest winner, was Matthew Long, who now boasts a 4.5 second lead over the whole field.
Yeah, so the thing that O'Brien has in his favour is he's about half a second a lap quicker than Long. The problem is that's not going to last forever, and I don't think it's going to be enough to pull off a win in the long run here. But We'll see. Maybe Matthew Long made a bad setup change. You never know in motorsports.
And we can never count out Rondaletto and Holly, who are right behind second and third. And, you know, we may get a caution. Everybody on new tires, everybody getting aggressive, trying to make moves in the last 30 laps of the race. We know there's been a couple lapped cars who have been causing trouble. They might play into it. But here is the leader. Not the leader. The leader of this little pack in second is Rondaletto, who is bringing the gap down to Matthew Long just a little bit. Last lap for Long was a 31.3. Last lap for Rondaletto, a 31.1. So this could change very quickly.
Yeah, Matthew Long really made, provided he wins this race, really made the race-winning call by being one of the first cars into the pits there. He knew that that was going to give him the advantage over the race leader, and he was able to get in and out cleanly. He didn't have any issues. The gamble, of course, he ran was that a caution would come out immediately after he pit. Good for him. He rolled a 7, and bad luck did not come his way. We didn't go under yellow, but again, he just has to keep an eye on the timing and scoring, because he only has 4 seconds over Rondaletto, and if the drivers find him with newer tyres, that could pay off in the long run. Although, as they battle for second side by side here, that's obviously going to be helping Long out a little bit.
Bradley Holly trying to make the bottom work again, but the question is, will it work? Doesn't seem to be working yet, and you can see on your timing screen the gap to the leader started with 3 for a couple moments, and it still does, but these two are definitely slowing each other down by racing this hard. That was tight for Rondaletto on the high side, but he is able to hold on to second. Bradley Holly just not able to make that bottom work, it seems.
James Brown has been working his way through a little bit of a pack of cars. He's made his way up to 7, so he's got track position going his way as he's passing these cars. The problem is, of course, every time he passes a car, it costs him a tenth or 2. He's, where is he now? 8.5 seconds back of the race leader. Yeah, I think a win is out of the question for him, but it'll be interesting to see how high he can get up there.
Can never count him out, I don't think. If there's another caution, I think, do these drivers have one more set of tires in the pits? I think they do. So if we get another caution, some drivers could pit again for fresh tires, and some could stay out for track position.
Yes, you're correct. They have 5 sets of tires for the race. So yeah, no, I was mistaken there. I saw that they had 4 sets of tires, but it's actually 5 sets of tires. They had 4 sets of tires, not including the ones they started on. So, yep, all these drivers do have another set of tires. So a caution will definitely change everything. But if we don't have a caution, I think it's Long's race to lose.
Pretty much everybody running single file here. Not too much action in terms of big packs or lap traffic, but eventually things may converge. Bradley Holly still trying to get by Rondaletto, and Abner Acosta is still right there joining them, so we might get a 3-car fight here. I'm just looking at the back of the pack. When will Matthew Long run into some lap traffic? Well, what do you know? He's running into Chad Brown right now. As he goes around the outside here, Brown playing a little bit tough, losing him a little bit of ground, but luckily for him, Long and Rondaletto and Holly and Acosta are battling just as hard, so he's not really going to lose anything.
Yeah, Holly's really trying to make us work, but I'm not sure what the odds are as they put more laps on their tyres. The high line, I think, is going to become more and more favourable. I think Acosta needs to go up high here and follow the 48.
Well, he's not going to go up high and follow the 48. He's going to go up even higher than the 48, because the 48 drops down low and they switch around and everybody's all over the place, but somehow Bradley Holly's taking the high side away, and he's going to try and make the move around the outside.
Yeah, and while these guys battle, that could bring the battle for 5th on back into this. So we could have a really mega battle for second place at the end of this sin if these guys continue to hold each other up. Look at all those cars behind. Not all of those are for position, but a lot of them are.
And one of those drivers is James O'Brien. Him and Robert Besaw Jr. You can see Robert Besaw Jr. leading the train. Then it's Baron Hilton. He's 3 laps down. He's run into trouble. Then James O'Brien, then Joshua Daniels are all looking to make their way through this lapped traffic. O'Brien not able to clear Hilton just yet. It was only 2 laps down, not 4 laps down. Apologies to him. O'Brien does dispatch of him easily, and Joshua Daniels is going to try and do the same thing. But the gap from O'Brien to the leader is only 6 seconds. Remember, when we started talking about him after the pit stop, that was 12 seconds. So he's already cut that in half, and there's still 19 laps to go.
Oh, almost contact. Well, or not almost. I think it was contact there in about a second. Acosta is a hard charger of a race, was trying to pick up one more position, but I think he might have overdone it there because he really got sideways, had to fight hard to hold on to the car. He's blocking the high line now. He's trying to stop the 48 from passing him up high. He knows if he can hold on to that high line, he should be able to maintain third position. So we're into the final 20 laps and the intensity's picked up a bit there. We've been given Acosta a lot of credit today, and rightfully so, as our big mover, but I also want to give a shout out to Taylor Stout, because I don't think we've mentioned him at all today, and he has slowly but quietly worked his way up from 22nd to 10th.
Taylor Stout, part of the same James Bird Racing squad as Matthew Long, our leader. So these guys have very good cars and very good drivers, as you can see. Taylor Stout, it's in the name, a stout run, 22nd to 10th. Here now, Mark Kalin, he's had a terrible day so far, and he's saying he's snappy loose, and that is not what you want to hear when you're Matthew Long with a 4.5 second lead. You do not want the car that's 4 laps down to get snappy loose and bring out a caution.
Yeah, these last 16 laps are going to feel quite long for Matthew Long. So Abner Acosta running in third place now. He had that big moment a few laps ago. I wonder if that starts to make him think about the championship a little bit more. But given what I've seen out of him today, I'm going to guess the answer to that is no. So we'll wait and see what he does in the final 15 laps, if he goes for broke once again, or if he starts to calm things down a little bit and maybe settle for a third place finish.
Acosta is down in 11th in the championship. Bradley Holly is first. So he definitely has a lot of work to do, and every position does matter in terms of points. So if he is going to make this move, it will help him out, maybe 2 or 3 points in the championship. He's got another run. Can he do anything with it? He goes to the bottom. He's got to be careful. Don't do the same thing he did last time and wash up. Holly squeezes him down to the bottom, and he's not able to do anything with it yet. But he's got the side draft. He's got that left rear quarter panel with his nose, and they're still side by side. Holly hasn't cleared him yet. We'll have to see if he can at all, because they're still side by side through the quad oval.
Yeah, I think he can afford to, well, let's see, he might actually pull this off here down into turn 1. Holly's going to try and run them down low. The problem is, if he does this too much, that battle for 4th and 5th is going to catch him. Holly getting really loose on the exit of turn 2 there. He was in the loud pedal all the way. The rear end of his car wasn't quite connected with the racetrack. And Abner Acosta might be our first car in a long time to pull off a move down low in the long run. Although he hasn't done it yet, I mean, eat my words here. He's definitely going to try, though.
And right behind them, who's that but James O'Brien? He's made up 8 seconds to the leader in the last couple laps. He's got a teammate in Abner Acosta here. Bradley Holly's a championship rival. He's going to get blocked up high. Not going to be able to do anything with the move, but he really wants to clear these guys. He has newer tires than Matthew Long. He has 4 lap newer tires than the leader. If he can get by these guys, he thinks he can make a run at the leader, but things are converging now. 2nd to 7th, you can throw a blanket over these cars.
Yeah, we kind of foresaw this about 20 laps ago that this was going to happen. And I am a big O'Brien fan right now because he has definitely worked his way up through the field. He was 10th, I think, after the second round of pit stops. And his tyre advantage or his pace advantage is so much, he's just going to go down to the low line here. And I think he's going to, well, I was about to say, I think he's going to have a much easier time of getting by Bradley Holly for second place, but he proves me wrong. He is very slow coming up turn 4.
The bottom line, the no-go zone, did not work for James O'Brien, and he watches all his hard work almost go down the drain. He's trying to recover it on the bottom here, but he's not going to be able to get clear. He is going to be able to get clear of Acosta. His teammate slowed him down a little bit. He's going to fall back in behind Robert Besaw Jr., and from the fight to second, he's now in the fight for 5th.
Yeah, this is where I understand why Acosta was racing so hard. You mentioned he was down in 11th in the points, so he needed a good result. He was looking at a good second place. But the fact is, all that hard racing has kind of meant that instead of finishing 3rd here, he's all the way back down to 6th now, which is still a decent result as a 3-car gets in the wall exiting turn 2 there. Robert Besaw Jr. And now things are really going to kick off here in this battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Sorry, for 4th, 5th, and 6th, rather.
Yeah, it may have been 5th, 6th, and 7th a little bit earlier, but these guys have all made up some ground. The order with James O'Brien on the bottom, not really able to do anything just yet. He's got the run on the bottom, but can he get clear of Besaw? Yes, he can. The order with them. Oh, it's changing again. Now Robert Besaw Jr. gets the bottom, but O'Brien has the outside. We know the outside to be a little bit better. Can he finally get the run on Besaw? Besaw washes up high. Lucky there was no net code there. And they keep it going in a straight line. The order 9-3-5. Acosta trying to go around the outside of Besaw now, but these cars are just stuck together. O'Brien's finally clear. The lapped car, the 01, is going to come through with those fresh tires. This is dramatic.
So Kelly Kill, that is in the 01 car, he pitted not too long ago. He's not racing anyone else right now. He's the only car 4 laps down, but I think he just recognizes that he needs to get out of the way of his pack, so he's just trying to blast by them all and let them have a race. If they're going to wreck, they're going to wreck behind him.
Well, if anything, this shows us the advantage of those new tires, because look at the 01 just streaking past James O'Brien and all these guys who've been fighting for the win. Rhonda Leto and Chad Brown almost hit each other on the straight a little bit further ahead. This is getting very, very dramatic. Rhonda Leto is probably not very happy with these lapped cars coming into the mix. With 7 laps to go, Matthew Long doesn't want a caution at all, but I think these guys are trying their hardest to bring one out.
Yeah, well, we will get up to 1 green-white checkered if we do get caution in the closing laps here. So yeah, the number 01 of Kelly is trying to clear these leaders without causing too much interference. The problem is he's been having the car that he's described as snapping loose. The leaders, I'm sure, are a little bit antsy about being around him. But there he goes, he's cleared the pack, and hopefully he won't be of an issue to these drivers who are still racing hard for second here. Bradley Holly ahead of Octavio Rondaletto with just 5 laps left to go.
Yeah, these two are glued together, but Rondaletto seems to have just lost a little bit. Matthew Long extending his lead 4.6 seconds now over the rest of the gang. Taylor Stout down in 9th is going for the move on Robert Besaw Jr., trying to move up to 7th now. Taylor Stout's run through the field continues, and Taylor's going to bring Charles Sumner with him on the bottom potentially. Taylor's definitely got fresher tires, got more tire life in the 66, and the slide job works against the 3 once again.
Yeah, second and third, well, first, second, and third, it looks like those positions are locked in unless we have any late drama. It's obviously this battle that we're keeping an eye on. Also, the battle for 4th. James O'Brien still has Abner Acosta all over the back of him. Say just went by, and then we've got this pack of cars from about 6th on back.
Bradley Holly thinks that the 48 might be pushing too hard in the rears. Doesn't think there will be much more competition from Rondeletto. And now O'Brien in the 9 car. Could O'Brien get back up to the podium? It's been a hard charge for the 9, and Rondeletto might have used up his stuff. But we've seen the pass be a difficult one to make. Basically anywhere here. We've got 2 to go. If the caution's going to come out, this is the last time for it to matter. Through turns 2, 1 and 2. It's a good run for O'Brien, but it doesn't seem like it's good enough just yet. He's going to have one more chance to do it. Acosta's still there as well in the 5 on the bottom. But as we cross the line, Matthew Long takes the white flag. Next flag will end it. He's got a 5-second lead, and unless something terrible happens, he is going to win this race easily. We can see him losing a little bit of ground. He's probably just taking it easy through turns 1 and 2. Abner Acosta gets in the wall for 4th. He's not going to make up any more ground down in 5th. But coming through turns 3 and 4, Matthew Long capitalizes from Elliott White's disadvantage, and Matthew Long dominantly wins Atlanta.
Yeah, not going to see much change for 2nd through the 5th. I definitely didn't think Rondeletto was going to get run down like that in the closing laps. But how about the shout out to Taylor Stout? We gave him a shout out about 20 laps ago when he was in 10th. He actually brought home a 6th place finish and won that battle, that pack battle we saw from about 6th back to 10th. So well done, Taylor Stout. 6th place in the 66. But obviously, the main congratulations today go towards the driver of that 28 car right there, Matthew Long. He hung around. He hung well in 2nd position for the first half of the race, and when the opportunity presented itself in the closing half of the race, when we saw our race leader overshoot his pit stall, Elliott White, and he fades back to a 16th place finish, and now they're going to burn it down and have a bit of a demolition derby on the front straight there. Matthew Long was there to capitalize, and he is going to bring home the win today.
James Bird Racing breaks the Whataback Racing streak. Long wins Stout in 6th. But as they enjoy their race-winning donuts, we're going to throw to one more break, and when we come back, we will get to talk to Matthew Long and the rest of the top 3. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway after a 145 lap show of action in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. It was Matthew Long who dominantly won the race in the end with that successful pit strategy, followed by Bradley Holly and Octavio Rondoletto scoring his first top three of the season. James O'Brien a comeback in fourth, and Abner Acosta 20 positions up in fifth. Taylor Stout 16 positions up to sixth. Joshua Daniels in seventh. Then Robert Besaw Jr., Charles Sumner, and Patrick Cowgill round out your top 10.
Yeah, at the top side of this list, you'll see drivers that we didn't mention a whole lot, but brought home decent finishes. Pat Harvey in 11th, Adam Zemke in 12th, Scotty Johnson in 13th, Brandon Bolton 14th, and Waldo Bolton in 15th. All decent finishes. I'm sure Elliott White is not too pleased with his 16th place finish after speeding in the pits for his second pit stop. Michael Witt had a crash in that brought out our only caution of the race. He comes home in 17th place ahead of Chad Brown, Trent Dinkle, and Dresswart also all one lap down.
And what I like to call a used car lot. A lot of these drivers finished the race, but they finished it in not a great state. Baron Hilton, we know he got a penalty. Stephen Connor, I don't think we mentioned him once, in 22nd. Unfortunately, David Mayberry, Aaron Self, Kelly Kuhl, Mark Kalin, the snappy loose car, down in 26th. Richard Pierce brings it home 7 laps down in 27th. Joao Guerra, Tom Serrato, and Marc-Andre Cassette all out early. And they round out the 30-car field for tonight's race. But the top of the 30-car field, Matthew Long with a solid pit strategy, a dominant win. We've got him in the booth. Matthew, you were the first of the lead cars to make that final pit stop, and it seems like it really paid out for you.
Oh, he did. Yeah, it's just so hard to pass with the aero at this track, especially in the long run. And Elliott was just really good. I had to take a little bit of a gamble there and try to be the first one on pit road. And we made a nice adjustment there, too, to tighten up the car a little bit. And that was just what I needed to drive away.
You were basically in the lead from the get-go. You started fifth, but you had a great start. Got up to the front and were running up there, and then took the lead after White ran into trouble. But your teammate Taylor Stout made it up 16 spots. So is there something about the setup of this car that you at James Bird Racing did to this thing to make it so good at passing?
Yeah, that's something is Taylor Stout. He put in work like crazy this week on the setup. You know, honestly, I ran it and provided some feedback, but he was twisting all the dials and really put this together. It was a beast of a setup. You know, we were quick on the short run, and then we kind of went through a weird period around lap 20 where we lost a little grip compared to everyone else, but I knew if we could hold people off through that, we're really good on the long run. So it definitely paid off, and credits to Taylor.
Well, Whataback Racing won those first 2 races this season, but now you've got on the board with a win. Do you think you guys have what it takes to take the fight to them for the team's championship this season?
It's going to be tough, but I think we got something for him. I think, you know, with the addition of Chris Hudson on the team, he showed some great pace. He had a great run at Pocono and really saved us in terms of points with the craziness that happened at the end of that one. So, you know, if we can just keep putting together good cars and just keep staying out of trouble and running up front, you know, scoring top 5s, top 10s, you know, I think we'll be there at the end.
And before we let you go, you have anyone you want to thank for your victory tonight?
You know, just all the friends and family, you know, that tunes in and watches, and all the support there. James Bird, who's pulled together the Pebble Isle Marina sponsorship for the car, you know, Kentucky, Lake Tennessee there. And then you guys and PRL for just putting on the great show.
That was our winner, Matthew Long. But down in second place, still our championship leader was Bradley Holly, and he is with Sam.
Yeah, Bradley, congrats on the second place finish here today. Unfortunately, once Matt Long kind of checked out there, it looked like that was really the best any of you guys were going to be able to finish.
Yeah, my car was fairly good. I didn't get as much practice as I normally would. So, you know, trying to figure out what the car is going to do on the long runs and trying to get into clean air, I think that's what hurt me the most.
Yeah, well, I was surprised there in the closing stages. I mean, we always love to see a great race, but it seemed throughout the race there was a lot of side-by-side battling going on. And considering this is a track that's notorious for chewing up tires, I was surprised we saw so much of that, considering, you know, running side-by-side isn't always the best way to conserve your tires. Was it not that bad?
I mean, it was. I mean, we were all just driving the heck out of our cars. I just felt like after 10, 15 laps, if I could get to the outside and keep that line, I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to hold off anybody that wanted to try to get by me.
Now, obviously, this is a great result for your championship campaign, a second place finish here. How are you feeling heading into the next race?
Pretty good. It's, you know, everybody in here is extremely tough, you know, and with different setups. I mean, all it takes is one bad race, and you know, you're going to have to dig yourself out of a hole and try to win a championship or just win a race.
Well, fortunately, you didn't dig a hole today. You brought home a solid second place finish. You got anyone you'd like to thank for it?
I'd like to thank the Waterback guys. And you know, I wasn't feeling good all week, so they you know, worked on the set and was able to tell me what the car was going to do, and so I could be a little bit more prepared. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting us week in and week out, and all the everybody in the PRL and all of our sponsors.
Well, we appreciate that. Congrats once again on the second place finish. We look forward to seeing you at the next race.
Thank you very much.
That was Bradley Holly, your second place finisher.
And finally, our third place finisher, I would say the most popular driver with our YouTube chat viewers, it's Octavio Rondoletto. Octavio, it's your first top 3 finish of the season. How are you feeling?
Hello, everybody. Well, the race was really fun. The track was so cold. I was surprised about that. We have a great gap with high temperatures, and this affect me a lot. Yeah, my sponsors was supporting me in the chat. I'm happy with it.
Now, that team you drive for in this series, Juncos Racing eSports, some of our more motorsports inclined viewers know all about Juncos Racing, but they might not know that they have an esports crew. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Well, the official team is in the esports now, and we worked a lot with the setup. And I want to say thanks to all the sponsors for that.
And before we let you go, you have any message you want to give to the fans at home in Spanish, en español?
Un saludo a todos. Gracias por el soporte y nos vemos la próxima, que vamos a estar fuerte en New Hampshire.
Yep, like you said, on to New Hampshire next week. Are you looking forward to the race at New Hampshire?
I think we will do a great job there. It's a different track for all of us, and I'm confident.
Well, congrats on your third place finish tonight, and good luck on following that up next week.
Thank you.
That was your third place finisher, Octavio Rondoletto, and that's going to round out the drivers we're going to get to talk to tonight. But it was a little bit of an up and down race. There was some action. There were some quiet periods. But overall, Sam, I would say that it was a pretty exciting race and rounded out with a dominant win by Matthew Long.
Yeah, we don't really have a battle for the win in the closing laps there. That was kind of decided during that second round of pit stops. But we had great battles, second through 10th, all the way down to the checkered flag, really. I didn't expect Taylor Stout to go all the way from 10th to 6th in the closing laps, but kudos to him for pulling that off. And it's great. I mean, obviously, we just spoke to our top 3 finishers there, so they're going to be pleased with the result. But it seemed that everyone had a good time, and we're looking forward to our next event at New Hampshire.
As am I. And we'd like to thank our sponsors one more time. They'll still be with us in New Hampshire and for the rest of the season. ASR, they design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab, it helps you improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing at theButtKicker.com. Don't forget the. SimMSA, find out how you can bridge the gap between real and virtual motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the entire team who helped to put on this broadcast today, and thanks to all you viewers for tuning in. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, go and check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. The link is in the description below, and while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we said, for the PRL NASCAR Cup Series is at New Hampshire, Sunday, July 18th at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, and there will be more PRL action tomorrow night with the GT4 AM and GT3 Pro Series taking on Chicago and Snetterton, starting at 8:25 p.m. Eastern. We have other upcoming races listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar as well. Well, for Sam Ryman, Zach Johnson, and Dougie Beard, I'm Joey Tevin. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.